good. A new race is coming. Everything will burn to ash. It is good. A new nation is rising. Everything will sweep away. It is good. A clean spirit is breathing. Highway when I away, highway when I away, highway when I away.
We can have a camp today. We are. Who don't give a damn about the Alamo? Right. Who gives a damn about the white man's loss? That's why the world will rejoice when we are in the door. Right.
And the scepter of the rulers.
The truth of the matter is that you, the white man, have painted yourself as Jesus Christ.
Right.
No more of the evil and the crimes that we learned from your people. And guess what? The more and more we change and become righteous, which we're doing today, teaching the love that we're teaching the righteousness that we're teaching, the more that you're going to fall and be back in a position of a servant.
Right.
Because I never seen love for black people. I never seen love for Native Indians.
Right.
I never seen kindness for these people.
Right.
I never seen all of the good things you just said. I never seen them for black, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
So all of that heartwarming stuff that you're talking about does not apply in the barrios and the reservation.
Right.
All of the stuff that you're talking about does not apply to the ghettos of America.
I understand you guys have been hanging out here for I don't know how long, and things have changed. The Alamos kind of taken over the territory.
Because the last thing we want to do is have an officer get called out here who's not informed and act on something and get himself in trouble. Absolutely. Right? We're gonna make sure we speak to the whole shift about it and everybody knows the legality of what's going on in Alamo Plaza, because obviously it's a little bit disorganized from what they want as to what is on paper.
Once again, just undefeated when the Lord on your side. You know what I mean? The man in General Your Honor raised up real revolutionaries. Damn right. That know what to fight for and how to fight.
All right. Shalom, y'all. Bashim Shah, brother Thug. Y'all Shemar Thumb Bashim Shah. This is the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969, under Commanding General Yohana. You understand? We're here to teach the truth of the Bible. So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, their real culture according to the scriptures. Now, what you're looking at on the board here is a lot of scribble scrabble, I know, but it starts to make a lot of sense as it goes along. This is, of course, ISUPK San Antonio's Lashawan Qadash. That's the ancient Paleo Hebrew class. This predates all the modern Hebrew that you see in the state of Israel today. Matter of fact, the state of Israel uses a Hebrew that we call the Assyrian Hebrew because that's as far back as it goes when Israel used it. And I think the Most High that he did that because it's almost like as if that was a language or a version of Hebrew that was created so that the people that were put into our land at the time of our Assyrian captivity, that they weren't going to be receiving the Lashawan Qadash, which is the most holy text, okay, the most holy version of our language. And so what we do in these classes and what we've been doing, what you see on the board right now, we're going to briefly go over, is that we've been going over the book of Psalm chapter 65. Now, the title of this class is Ancient Hip Hop, and I'm sticking with that as this series because you got the entire book of Psalms, right? So many heavy bars that are spit in the book of Psalms, but we don't think of the book of Psalms like we do hip hop, and I'm going to show you why it's actually very much similar to hip hop because of the way that we talking about the struggle. We make supplications to the Most High through our music, that we're recognizing our faults and we're pointing out things about ourselves that need to be addressed, right? And also understanding the world as it's moving around us and how it's interacting with our people. Okay. And of course, the Most High's role in all of this, given that He's the one that's ultimately in control of our fate and our of our lives. Okay. And so when we go and read the book of Psalms, and then of course reading it in the Hebrew is even heavier because it's in a different flavor, right? It's like it's a more ancient approach that's more accurate to what we used to do in the way we spoke. Now, what I can't tell you is the cadence of the music, because when you're talking about actually writing music, nowadays it's pretty much a universal understanding that music is going to be done by 4 bar, or basically 4 beats at a time. And I can't tell you whether or not that the Lashawan Qadash has any kind of similar structure, or if it's more a cappella or what have you, right? And that's really where it comes down to, learning the cadence of the Hebrew, being able to read it, being able to understand the vocabulary. It's almost like the more that you see it in real time, the more of examples that you get, and then you start to remember some of it. And so that's why I like going over entire verses. You know, maybe we'll do 2, maybe 3 verses a day and start getting more understanding of the vocabulary to get more practice in. And that's the whole reason why this class is so heavy. But I like to bring a little bit of information out at the same time. And so that's the structure of my classes. And I hope y'all guys are enjoying that. Y'all just got to deal with my terrible handwriting. Thankfully, though, the Lashawan Qadashes are very simple characters, and it's almost like as if they're all capitalized. So it's really hard to mess that up. But my English handwriting is terrible, so that's just what it is. So reading from the top, again, Hebrews read from right to left. So let's kind of go through how it sounds, okay? And then start to pay attention to how the ending of the characters and the phrases are. And you can start to understand slowly but surely just how rhythmic our language actually is. We will read it in the Hebrew first, and then we will translate it back into the English, and I'll pull it up in the King James Bible so you can see exactly how it's translated when we get to the English version of it, okay? So it says, Asharya, Ta Bachar, Wata Korab, Ya Shakan, Kat Tazaryak, Na Shabaya. It says, Ba Tawab, Ba Yathka, Qadash, Yakalak, Yakalak. Now we go into verse 5, and verse 5 says, Na'ara'awath, okay? Ba Tazadak, Tha'ain Nawa, Allahaya, Yashai Nawa, Mabatach, Kao, Kwa Tazawya, Arataza, Wayam, Ra Hakoyam. I want you to understand that, like the scripture says, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. Even when you think you've read enough of the Bible, you've grown up, you heard verses, maybe you even learned the King James version of the Bible. So you may have been used to the Ebonics of the King James version. But when it comes to the Hebrew, it's a whole different ball game. And so the whole entire Old Testament is written in Hebrew, right? And the New Testament is written in Greek and Latin. But the Old Testament is definitely where we're in our zone as far as understanding our culture and our language. So as we do with all of our classes, when we go into any of these Hebrew phrases, the root words themselves, they have an assigned strong concordance number. So for those of you that want to be even more scholarly about it, or even people that are skeptical about what it is that we're doing and how the structure of our understanding of the Hebrew is, I want you to understand that we are actually using the Strong's Concordance for the official dictionary of Hebrew. Okay, we're not taking that, we're not taking away from that. So we get the same exact definitions that you get when you are learning even in the modern Hebrew, and that's perfectly fine. What's different is that we're using a different alphabet. So instead of using the Assyrian, or aka modern alphabet, we're using the ancient alphabet. Okay, let's read it one more time. It says Asharya, Thabakar, Wata Kwarab, Ya Shakan, Tazar Yak, Na Shabai, Ba Tawab, Ba Yathka, Qadash, Haya Kalak, Na Wara'awath, Ba Tazadak, Tha Ein Nawa, Alahaya, Yashai Nawa, Mabatah, Ka, Quatazawia, Arataza, Wayam, and then finally Ra Hakoyam. Okay, so that's how we pronounce it. In the Hebrew, there's no vowels. It's all consonants. Okay, so it's a very different, almost like it's almost like a harsh version of Hebrew. You know, people always listen to what we say on the streets. We got a lot of videos that are getting a lot of attention right now on our social media, throughout Facebook and Instagram mostly. And a lot of the same thing that I hear people say is, why do y'all speak so loud? Well, let me tell you something about Hebrew. Hebrew is, you see how these characters are all large? That's kind of how Hebrew is spoken, okay? Now, you could, like a lot of other languages, they're a little bit more soft, a little bit more romantic, a little bit more rhythmic. Hebrew is very direct and to the point. There are no vowels. They are just consonants. So back then, they used to say that it was a barbaric language, but it's the derivative language of many languages that we have today, okay? It gets the point across very quickly. These are characters and phrases that can be pronounced very loudly without having to do anything crazy with your embouchure. Okay, so that's the difference between Hebrew and what we currently see, you know, in all these other languages. So we're gonna go ahead and get that. Let's get that into English. Okay, so it's again, we're going to the book of Psalm, chapter 65. Follow along with me. If you got the King James Bible in your phone, go ahead and pull that up. Now, another thing too, now there's a whole class. We did the entire class on these verses last Friday. So if you want to follow along with us and get the definitions and all that stuff, then definitely tune into our previous class so that you can get caught up with it. But just keep in mind, moving forward, when you're watching the classes, I highly recommend that you get a blank sheet of paper or a notebook. Have like a whole entire notebook dedicated to just Hebrew classes. You know what I'm saying? Make a table of contents at the beginning of that notebook and then number every page as you start writing on those pages. And before you know it, you'll have an entire database of your own practicing with the Lashawan Qadash. And that's going to be an excellent way for you to start learning the language. And we'll figure this shit out together, brothers and sisters. That's how it's going to go. Now, Psalm chapter 65 and verse 4. We'll read the translation. It says, "Blessed is the man whom thou choosest and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in thy courts." That's heavy. It says, and this is a prayer to the Most High, right? You understand that? It says, "Blessed is the man whom thou choosest and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in thy courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of thy house, even of thy holy temple." That's what we're reading in here. Now, when it says the word courts, it means tower or village. This is referring to the kingdom of heaven, but not just the fact that it's in the kingdom of heaven, but the courts. That's an important term. You understand? I was playing there was a game about the Chinese. They're higher ranked. You know, what do you call it? Like leaders and stuff like that. And when it came to positions of power, they referred to them as courts. Now, the Chinese and the Japanese language derive from the Hebrew. So some of those translations, of course, the words may sound different by this time at this point, because it's been thousands of years. So they've come up with their own, you know, character system and language and stuff. But the definitions of them mean the same thing, believe it or not. After all these thousands of years later, they still use the word courts when they're talking about positions of leadership or judgment. So when it's saying blessed is the man the Most High is choosing to approach, so he's talking about those that are moving up in leadership. And then he says, "They shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, even thy holy temple." And so again, it's actually letting you know exactly where it is that you're dwelling at. Okay, so Psalm chapter 65 is no different than when brothers in the hood are just praying to make it to heaven. You understand? Brothers that make songs. I grew up listening to a Texas musician that's very popular here in the Texas. It's a brother named Zero, or AKA or Joseph McVeigh, aka Zero. And a lot of his lamentation music from the beginning of his career was very much grounded in the sense of wanting to show repentance to the Most High. You know, we get a lot of brothers out there, they'll have different artists that they listen to, maybe not so much because they're on point doctrine-wise, because a lot of them are still in the world, but you get the zeal that's behind them. You know what I'm saying? Like the scripture says that we have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. So a lot of the music that we listen to, a lot of the hip hop that we listen to, it's focused around people that a lot of times people tend to flock towards artists that live the way that they either live now or lived before. Okay. And then the process of seeing them grow over time and their music change over time is the result of how their decisions are from the beginning of their careers. And so when you're looking at something like this, what is he aiming for here? He's saying, man, how great it would be to be somebody that gets the position of power in the kingdom of heaven. It's a very heavy thing that he's bringing out. Okay. Most people don't rap about this kind of stuff, but there are sparks and what do you call it, flashes of greatness in our people when it comes to our music. This is where the root of the matter is. This is where you find out what the best topics are to talk about in your music, because our people are going to resonate with it. And best believe when you can harness that same vibe, that same zeal that you see in the book of Psalms, that our people, Israel, Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, are going to definitely, you know what I'm saying, click with that music. Now, going to verse 5, when it says, by awesome deeds and righteousness, you answer us. There's actually the real definition, which is wa ra'ah. The word awesome, when you translate it, and I'm reading the King James Version, this is the interlinear version that you see when you read it, you know what I'm saying, in the modern Hebrew. But when you translate it, even in the King James, it is accurate. This is how you know the King James Bible is a good source to read as far as English goes, because verse 5, Psalm chapter 68, verse 5, it says, by terrible things in righteousness wilt thou answer us. So he's saying by terrible things or terrible deeds. Also, we used another definition that was using that same root word, dreadful. Okay. It says, by terrible deeds in righteousness, you answer us. Now, that same word also means afflict. So when you're looking at this verse, it's actually layered and parallel with the heaven and the hell side of it. I'll explain. Because when the Most High judges us, it could be seen as a great thing, a fantastic thing, or it could be seen as a dreadful thing. It could be seen as a terrible thing, but it is either way still righteous because the Most High is just. And that dreadful deed that he does to us and his judgment towards us is the answer to our prayers, is an affliction unto us. If it's a punishment, you understand? So whether it be good or bad, it's still righteous. And the Most High is answering what we need. He's giving us what we need through our affliction and also through the answering of our supplications to him. And that's why it says, by dreadful deeds and righteousness, you afflict us, God, our Savior. You understand? Because even when the Most High is punishing you, he's still saving you from yourself. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why this is so heavy is because you watch a lot of music videos. You'll see a lot of hip hop artists, rap artists. The one thing that's very common amongst like 99.9% of Black, Hispanic, and Native American artists that are out there that blow up is the fact that they're going through dreadful situations. The fact that the Most High is putting an affliction on them. And even during these music videos, they'll be, sparking a blunt, right? Overindulging with different things, right? Lustful things, right? Or maybe not. Like I said, maybe not. But a lot of times you still see that, especially in the studio. I'm going to tell you right now, the studio for Jakes in the World is damn near like it's almost heathenistic in the way that it's operated, because 9 times out of 10, there's like a half ounce of dro that's in the studio. They're constantly rolling blunts. They're making beats. They're doing this kind of stuff. And it doesn't, and it's more often than not going to reflect that in the type of music that they're making, lamentation type music. You understand? It don't need to be like that, though. I really don't. Because what it is because our people relate with it so much, you get so many streams, you get so many views, you get so many people that show up to these concerts because they feel what you've been going through. We've been feeling what each other have gone through, and that's why artists blow up and they get so much influence in the industry. And then also what happens is some of them make it to the top, right? Like, for example, Jay-Z is an example, okay? Kanye West would be an example. Somebody that finds success, even though that it may not be doctrinally correct. And so because they're living a lifestyle that we would assume to be in good standing, it's not the temple of the Most High. So there is still yet another level that needs to be achieved for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And that's only going to be done through our righteousness. And it's only going to be shown through the awesome righteous deeds that the Most High shows us, because instead of him afflicting us, he's going to be answering our prayers because we're going to be obedient to him, following God's law, statutes, and commandments. Y'all understand just how deep these actual bars are? When you go into the scriptures and you start to look at it, and you start to look at the Hebrew, and then you start to look at the definitions and see how it lines up and where it parallels at, how it's that much more important to really take your time and digest the lyrics in the Bible. Okay, you'll do that all day for your favorite hip-hop artist. You'll memorize all the words to your favorite songs. You understand? Like, you're gonna be in there, you buying the albums, you subscribe to iTunes Music or Spotify or YouTube Premium or whatever, right? Maybe you even back in the day used to buy the tapes, you used to buy the CDs, you used to have the artwork, right? Or you put the artwork, you used to have the CD, the holder, it'd be like a folder that have all the CDs and the artwork, and you would just pick one out, put that in the CD player in your car, right? Or the CD changer, and you would have all that on repeat. But when it comes to the scriptures, we don't remember those things. We don't take it a point to dive in and memorize and digest those things. And so these kind of classes are designed to make you think about a different perspective, because when you start looking at the scriptures like it's your basis of lyrics, it's your basis of wisdom, then you start to really appreciate the Bible and not what people say about biblical things, not what people feel about things to do with religion and all that kind of stuff. Rather than that, you start looking at the scriptures and it really starts to fine-tune your righteousness. That's the whole point of why we do what we do. That's why we do the Sabbath service. That's why we go out to camp. That's why we have classes, every single day, damn near. You understand? So just keep it rocking like that. So it says, by awesome deeds and righteousness, you afflict us, God, our Savior. You who are the confidence and security of all the ends of the earth and of those that are on the far off seas. I'm going to read that in the King James Bible just to make sure that I got that right. It says, Verse 5 says, by terrible things in righteousness wilt thou answer us, O God of our salvation, who art the confidence of all the ends of the earth and of them that are far off upon the sea. Now, this is what's so heavy about this, man, because we know that Israel spreads throughout the four corners of the earth. So wherever we're at across the whole earth, we know that the real salvation comes from God, who gives us our confidence, who gives us our security and sense of protection. You understand? And without that, we're lost. And you'll see it in the way that we live. You'll hear it in the way that that our voices are when we're lamenting the situations that we're going through. You understand? So that's why we got to stay locked into the scriptures. That's another reason why it's so important that as you begin to learn these classes, that it's about what the scriptures are saying rather than what we're saying about it. Because if you don't build that foundation, when the time comes for you to defend your faith, or when somebody tries to say that what this doctrine is incorrect, then you may not have a full enough arsenal to defend the scriptures itself. Because the whole point of you learning the scriptures is to defend it and then wake up the minds of Israel that doesn't know them as much as you should. Okay, so we're going to go back to the interlinear version. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more. I'm going to give about a minute. Make sure to check into the class, type in your name, you know what I'm saying, do the salute, and then what city you're from. So you can get credit for checking into the class, because the generals, the captains, and those that are above, they're always checking that stuff. So they want to see you involved with it. You understand? And I always recommend, too, to take notes, because you can't ever go wrong with that. Let me see. Wait, Bible. Give me 1 second. So we're in the book of Psalms, chapter 65. I'm going to show you how we do this in real time, all right? And now we're going to be going to verse 6. This is a pretty short verse. We'll try to do 2 verses today. I don't want to do too much, but I want to try to make these characters larger if I can. So this is going to be verse 6. Starts off like this. Makayan. Makayan. Harayam. Ha. Rayam. Real word here is har. Might just be harayam. Makayam. Haram. And then it says ba bakahwa. Ba kah wa bakahwa. It says na azar. Azar. His character should be big enough for everyone to see. And then it says ba ga ba war ra. That's a crazy ass word. Hold on, let me see. Ga ba war. Okay, yeah. It's ba ga ga. We got a brother in Houston named Gaba War. Officer 5000 Gaba War. That's interesting. Ga ba wara. Trying to draw these characters larger because I know it's sometimes hard to keep up with it. Ba ga ba wara. Now we're gonna bracket it. I'm gonna show you the root words and we can understand this better, because this may be confusing when you first see this. Like, man, what the heck is all this, right? Well, if you ever need help learning how to pronounce them, I keep the whole alphabet right here. And matter of fact, let's go over that real quick, just so that you can get the feel of it. I'm gonna drill it like as if you're in a military type situation, okay? So you got a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, kwa, ra, sha, tha. That's what these characters are, okay? The one on the left. Don't look at the one on the right. Don't worry about that. Worry about that during the Sabbath service. But for our classes, we do the ancient Hebrew, okay? So it's Abagada Hawaza Kataya Kalamanasa Ipa Tazakwa Rashatha. There are less characters in the Hebrew than there are in modern English because there are no vowels. I think it's like 20 or 21, or it's a smaller amount, right? There's 26 letters in the alphabet, so I think it's like 21 or 22 in the Hebrew, okay? So that's the language. Now, I highly recommend practicing each one, saying the phrase after each one. That's a good way to start memorizing it really quickly. You can memorize the whole alphabet in Hebrew in less than a week if you're diligent enough, and just practice writing those characters. You understand? Now, Let's go ahead and go to this. We're gonna read it, then we'll break it down. So it says Makayan, Haryam, Ba Kahwa, Na Azar, Ba Gabawara, Ba Gabawara, Ba Gabawara. There's a different way of pronouncing it, but again, that's just because very loosely the modern Hebrew rules sometimes are applied here. But you can never go wrong with pronouncing the root word, just having the structural ones around the sides. Now, you'll see this on the top left. This is the prepositions and the possessive adjectives. So when we bracket out, I'm going to give you an example. So makayan, right? Makayan, the root word here is kawan, okay? Kawan. So technically this portion of this word, this portion of the word, right, is the root word. Kayan, okay, which means established, okay, to establish or to fasten or to prepare. But for the definition and for the interlinear version, it says establish. So what I'll do is I will underline the root word, I will bracket the root word, and then anything that's a modifier, like right here, it says ma. Notice the prepositions here. Ma can mean from, or in this case, who. From, or who, so it's saying who established, because it's past tense. So it's ma ka yan. Wow. In the past tense, it's yan. But in the regular sense, it's kawan. Okay. But kayan is used because it's speaking in past tense. It's lucky. I'm trying to make that look a little cleaner. That looks like shit. So ma kayan. Then it says haryam. The next word is haryam. And if y'all don't think this is real Hebrew, I'm going to show you this. If you just type in Strong's H3559, you'll get this word right here established. Kawan is what it will say. Kayan is because we're using it in a past tense. So then you'll see that right there, right? The only difference is that when you look that up, you won't see these characters. You'll see the modern Hebrew characters. So haryam, which means mountain or hill. Okay. Har is the root word, mountain. Or hill. Now, mountain or hill. Notice the yam is right here. And what do we say about yam or yan? Yam or yan. This is plural. This is plural, but for male and feminine. Okay. Most cases you'll see it in the male aspect, so it'll have a yam at the end, unless it's specifically talking about females. Okay. Like a group of sisters is akwathian, right? Akwath would mean sister, and then yan would be plural for female. But because most cases, if you were just dealing with words and not people, yam is most likely the one that's going to be used. There may be some exceptions, but we know that har means mountain or hill. Har yam means plural. So mountains or hills, okay? Mountains or hills. So he's saying who established the mountains and hills? We know that the Most High is the one that did. He's the creator, right? His name literally means that. Right? Then it says Bakahwa. Bakahwa. This one's a little bit harder to pronounce, right? Bakahwa. You get that little loogie. You about to get a loogie. You about to spit that loogie. That's what that ka means, right? If you want to be a little bit more lax with it, you can just say ka. But just make sure that it's not the same as ka, which is literally like a K. It even looks like a K. It's just pointed the wrong direction. Oh, it's pointing the right direction. In English, it's pointed the wrong direction. So Bakahwa. The root word here is ka. Okay, so we're saying something here. So it says kahwa. Bakahwa. What we're saying is by his strength. So the word kah right here means ability, I'm going to put all these here. Strength. What else? Force or power. So you could interchange any of these. They're acceptable. Okay. Now it says by his. Well, I guess I got to go a little bit more room. So it says by his ability. But because, okay, you see that ba? Ba is a preposition here. So ba could be in, with. We see another example. It means by. That's kind of the same thing, right? By his strength. Now the y at the end is what makes it say his, okay? The y at the end. It says they or their. This could also mean his or hers. So we're just adding to this rule base when we see examples of it, okay? Because y is a possessive adjective. That's why it shows up on the end. While a preposition would show up in the pre side, which would be on this case, because Hebrews read right to left, on the right side. So again, ba kahwa, ba kahwa. And so he's saying by the strength of his. If you want to talk like Yoda, you could say that, right? By the strength of his. But in English, because that's just how English is structured, by his strength, by his force, by his ability, by his power. So what the sentence is saying is, who established the mountains by his power? Because the Most High is most powerful, right? He's the one that is the arm of creation, okay? So it says, not azar. Not, hold on. Being clothed. So clothed is azar. We might see a new word example here. So we're seeing na. Okay. I don't think that's up here yet. We see ma. Okay. Azar means, let's see, clothed. Or girded. Clothed or girded. Makes it present tense. And it says ba ga ba wa ra. The real word here is, I think it's good. Yeah, ba ga ba ra. It's actually the whole thing in this particular case. But gabar would be the root. It would be a root word is a gaba war. The root word is gaba war. So technically, if you want to bracket gaba war, this would be another root word within it. Okay, but which means mighty warrior. Okay, ba gaba wara means might, strength, or power. As it translates to English, it means with power. But we see that also can mean with power or mastery. This is heavy, man. Because the word Gaba war not only means powerful warrior, it means masterful warrior. The ba, and again, Gaba war is the root word. It means might, power, mastery. You know what I'm saying? But to say ba, which would mean in or with, that's what you'll see right here, in or with. The ba. We also seen an example where it also means by. So with his ability. So when it's saying who established the mountains and hills by his strength or ability, it still lines right up for ba, because you could say who established the mountains and hills with his strength. It says being clothed with mastery, being clothed with power. It's like it surrounds him. That's like when you say being clothed with power, that's a heavy thing to say, bro. That's like saying, like, you know how blacks and Hispanics are when we talking about how the covering of our vehicles got candy paint and the covering and outside appearance that has the big rims on it. Well, it's saying that the Most High's paint job is power. You know what I'm talking about? Like his entire makeup of being what you see on that, and what you see is mastery. You understand? That's heavy right there. Most High is incredible the way that he put the spirit on Israel to write lyrics like this, man. You understand? All right, so let's go ahead and go. We'll continue here. We're going to do another verse today. We're going to go to verse 7. This one's a little bit more. There's going to be some good vocabulary. So let's go ahead and begin verse 7. If y'all have any questions, you know what? I'm going to give you a second so y'all can see the board without me with my ugly ass in the way. All right, go ahead and write down what you see on the board. And I hope that it's dark enough. I need to quit forgetting, man. I need to go get another pack of markers, man, because that way we got some fresh markers. You can see everything clear. But take a second to write down what you see. Brother. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it rocking. We're trying to make these classes as digestible as possible. I don't want to overwhelm you with just a whole bunch of stuff. You want to take this drip fed, you know what I'm saying? You got to be weaned into the Hebrew. You can't just get it all in one time. It's a bit much, you know what I'm saying? Learning a whole nother language. Mashabayah. Okay, let me see. Where is Shabach? Mashabayah. Okay, we'll do that. Ma Sha Ba Yah. Ma Sha Ba Yah. It says Sha'awan. 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 Yamayam. Yeah. Oh, let me get a chair. I hurt my back. Get it. So far, we got Ma Shabayah, Sha'awan, Yum Yum. I'm going in here. We're going to finish this verse. It's Sha'awan. That's the same word as before. You'll see it right there. It's just being repeated. Sha. Man, come on. We can do larger characters than that. Come on. There we go. Sha. One. Sha'awan. Gal. La Yaham. All right. Ga. La. Yaham. Ga. La Yaham. It says Wa Hamawan. I feel like I've heard that before. Wa Ha Ma Wan. Ma Ha Ma Wan. Ma Ha Wan. And then La Amayam. La Amayam. There we go. Shout out to those in the chat. I know it's a lot to write down, you know what I mean? But getting that practice in is crucial. We want to get these characters really down pat. Let's go ahead and read it real quick. and then we'll go back and we'll translate everything and get these definitions of these words. We'll start from verse 6. So, ma kayan haryam bakachwa na azar ba gabawara ma shabayach ma awan yum yum sha'awan galayaham, and then wa hamawan la amayam. Man, that sounds like, man, that rhymes, bro. The whole thing rhymes. The whole alphabet rhymes, but it flows, man. Like it literally flows. I just don't know what the cadence is. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Like, imagine. I'm thinking like Native American, because Native Americans, they have they'll have the powwow, right, with the drums going, and then you'll hear them doing the chant, right? Wow, yeah, how it's like they got that. The cadence is so simple. It's actually really simple. It don't need to be that crazy. But when we translate it, let's see what this next verse says. Pretty sure it's going to be heavy as it gets. So it says, you who still, oh, this is already crazy. You who still, again, ma. You see that? Keep an eye on that ma. Because shabach, shabayach is how it's used here. Oh, come on, bro. I don't understand what's going on here with this marker. Let's see if this one wants to cooperate. We'll just do that. It says, you who still, the you is actually implied because I don't see that here. You who still, meaning who silences, who calms. So the word right here is shabach, which means to still, or to address, or to pacify. That's a good one. Pacify. You who pacifies. Then it says sha'awan. Sha'awan means the noise. The noise. And the root word here is the whole thing. Sha'awan. Trying to use this marker. This is the only good one we got. Yum and yum. The noise of the seas. Okay. Of the seas. Think about, you know what this reminds me of? Y'all probably already know what I'm thinking about. Yum. And that's what's crazy. The word yam means waters. Like Captain Mashak Mayam. Mayam means, Mayam is the word that means waters. Okay. But yam can be used as water or sea. But because it's plural, it's yum yum. The word yum actually is what's used for plural, but the word yum does mean sea or waters. Okay. So it's saying you who pacify the noise of the waters. Just like when Christ and the disciples were in the water and the water was getting real crazy and the disciples were worried, and Christ turned to his disciples and he says, oh, ye of little faith. He's basically telling them, he was checking them like, why y'all tripping? Don't you know that God got us? Why y'all over here worried about some water, bro? And so we know, and you know what? Because Christ understood scriptures like this, who knows that the Most High is the one who pacifies the seas. I saw a video of a white man who had been working with some Native Americans for the sake of, I forget what kind of job they were doing, but the Native Americans had to stay in his campsite or trailer, right? And there was a tornado that was coming straight towards their campsite. And the Native American basically sat in, I don't know, like a prayer, sat down and did a prayer to the Most High, and the tornado literally turned and went the complete different direction, did the whole 90-degree turn and turned because it had been like projected to go straight through their entire campsite. But the Native American had prayed to the Great Spirit, right? Which we know would be the Most High, because he's the one that pacifies the noise of the seas and the winds of the earth and the tornadoes and storms, right? And so the storm literally turned. So it was almost like what he was, because he was tripping out. The white man was tripping out. He was like, there's something going on with these Native Americans. They're some spiritual people that have something to do with the Lord, because they were able to make a tornado turn from where it was headed. So we understand the Most High's ability, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like, even if somebody were to have the ability to pray, or at least the good standing with the Most High to pray for something to get done, and it gets done, that's not glorified to that individual. It's glorified to the Lord, who controls these things, who pacifies these things, and sets these things in organization across the earth. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to any type of situation you got going on, the Most High is the one that's in control. We got to make sure that we're in good standing with him for things to go our favor. But even if it doesn't go our favor, we still have to rejoice in that too, because ultimately it's his will that gets done, right? Not our will. Okay, so that's just what it is. So it says Lashawan, which also means the noise. Okay, so it says the noise. This is repeating the same character. This is where we're here, Lashawan, the noise. The noise of the seas, the noise of their waves. Okay, so the word wave is gal. Gal. Now, I couldn't tell you why there's a ya there, or a ha in between the ya and the ma, but we know that it's talking about gal, which means wave, heap, billows. So in this particular case, it means waves. But wave is gal. Gal Yahum is how it says waves right here. Instead of Gal Yum, it says Gal Yahum. I'm just translating it from the interlinear version, so y'all are gonna see that. But Gal Yum, I ain't gonna knock you if you say it like that, because that still follows our basic rules anyways. Okay, so you wouldn't be wrong to pronounce it Gal Yum. Okay, so Gal, again, bracketed, that's your root word. Gal means wave. And then Yahum makes it plural. Boom. Y'all see that? The Most High pacifies the waves, or the noise of the seas and the noise of the waves. And it says Wah. So I'm assuming that's going to be an and. Ha-ma-wan. Wah-ha-ma-wan. Let's see what that says. Wah-ha-ma-wan. It says the tumult, the company, the rumbling. Okay, here we go. Rumbling. So we got rumble or tumult. Completely tumultuous tragedy. Rumbling or tumult. So it says the noise of their waves, of the sea's waves, okay, of their waves. And it says, and the tumult and this is a perfect learning example right here. So the root word here for tumult is ha-ma-wan. Ha-ma-wan. Okay. Bracketed right here. Ma-wan also could be used, but ha-ma-wan, because and the would be wa-ha. Ha means the, wa means and. So technically you could say Wah-ha-hama-wan, and that would be correct. But Wah-hama-wan, because that's just where it's saying the rumbling or the tumult. So hama-wan is where you actually get the root word, and the word the is naturally in the beginning of it. Or commotion, right? Commotion. I'm giving you multiple definitions here, or similes. And then la-amayam. La-amayam is of the people, of the peoples, of the peoples. La means of, and then you got Hebrew Strong's H3816, which is La'ama. La'ama. La'ama, which means the people. Okay. Boom. La'ama Yum. So we're just gonna. Adam means man. So La'ama means people, multiple. But then also the Yum at the end just reiterates the fact that it's more than one. So when you say a people, people actually is innately a plural word. Like when I say, man, I love my people, it's not talking about one person, because that's what the word person is. But people represents a nation or an ethnic group or a family or a multitude, right? But when it says peoples, it's talking about multiple multitudes. So that's why it's La Ama Yam with the Yam at the end that makes it understanding of the noise of the waves and the commotion of the peoples. So it's letting you know the Most High is the one that's in control of all the elements in the ocean and the governments of the world and the things that are happening geopolitically across the globe. That's why the Most High puts the spirit in man to cause wars and things like that. So you got to see that. When you're thinking about real hip hop, you understand that hip hop can very quickly get political. Hip hop can very quickly talk about the storms. There's a song that came out in, I think, 2001. It was a song by Zero called Shelter from the Storm, right? Heavy song. When a hurricane hit Houston, Texas, I made a video about the destruction in Houston. I showed the floods. I showed the water rising above the cars. There was a video of a bird that flew into someone's car and he was scared to death. And he just wanted to stick around in the car because he felt that he was safe. And in the background, I had that song from Zero playing Shelter from the Storm. You know what I'm saying? Heavy song if you ever listen to it, right? Where he's talking about, matter of fact, I might get copyright strike for this because you got to hear what I'm talking about. Shelter from the Storm. Hell, when I type that in the, it might even pull up the video that I had when I typed it in. Let me see. I'm trying to skip ahead. Hold on. I'm gonna get to the chorus. Listen. Hold on, wait. So Zero was saying, in this land we need you, Yahweh, Lord have mercy, we need shelter in the time of storm. Now that storm could literally be a storm, or it could just be the afflictions we deal with in our life, like the previous verse said. But we know that it's the Most High who pacifies the noise of the seas and the noise of their waves and the tumultuousness of the peoples. It's the Lord that does it. So even when Zero is talking about our people being put in the penitentiary, somehow, some way, that is directly tied to the Most High causing storms to go across the earth. Because this scriptures is talking about the seas and people, and that the Most High is the one who pacifies those things. That's heavy. Because we got brothers that are dealing with court cases. We got brothers that are dealing with child support. We got brothers dealing with, come on now, Central and South America, the Caribbean islands, still trying to put their houses back together after the storms done destroyed that land. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to really grasp it, right? Because we're not there, we're not seeing it. And a lot of times when that information is out there, we ignore it because we got so much going on in our lives. But the thing is, everywhere Israel is at, there's constantly stuff going on, right? There's a lot of stressing, a lot of storms that we've been having to ride through. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the storm, you're in the eye of the storm and you know something else is coming. So whatever scrap you can finally try to hold on to, you're just preparing for the next wave, right? So the Most High is the one who establishes the mountains and hills. And that could literally mean mountains and hills, or it could be places like high places of power, right? by his strength and ability, like the scripture says. For this reason have I raised thee up, that I may show my strength in thee. And then he was talking about, just like in the days of Pharaoh, that he raised up a kingdom on the earth, so that he's the one that established their kingdom, but he's also the one that can bring it back down. So it's saying that it is him that is girded and clothed with mastery and with power. It says, you who still the noise of the seas, the noise of their waves, and the rumbling of the peoples. Okay, the Most High is in control over everything. That's why real hip hop is commemorating the Most High for putting us what we go through, so that we can appreciate his power that he's showing, whether it be his judgments against us, it's righteous. Whether it be the blessings he gives us, hopefully we're being righteous enough to earn those things. We got to make sure to stay on the right terms with the Most High, so that those blessings aren't deceptive to us, because sometimes people think a blessing is a blessing from God when it might actually be a blessing from Satan, because you're trying to fit in with the world and he's rewarding you for it. Like in the time of the Apocrypha, you had men in Israel that refused to eat pork because it was setting a bad example for the people. When we're talking about hip hop, you see most cases our people are setting bad examples for each other, and they become rich off of that, and then they give credit to the Lord for that. But is it always the Most High that's doing it, or is it Satan that's doing it and God's just letting them have their limelight, their 10 minutes of fame, their 15 minutes of fame before things come crashing down? And then you see that brother in jail with, a weapon charge or like a murder case, or even worse, right? Getting murdered, right? So many rappers get murdered and stuff like that. It's unfortunate. But we really got to stay locked in with the righteousness of the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments. And it's scriptures like this that just really hone in on just how much control the Lord has over everything. Like when you read in the book of Job, the Most High has control even over Satan, limiting Satan for what he can do with Job. Satan has to report unto him, right? And it just shows that God is so much control. He's in more control than you ever imagined, that we ever even considered. That's why his name is He Is, because he is that hidden arm that controls everything that we see and what we cannot see. So let's go ahead and read it in the Hebrew one more time, and then we'll end the class on that. This is Psalm chapter 65 and verse 6. Makayan ha-rayam ba-kakwa na azar ba-gabawara ma-sha-bayah sha-awan yam-yam sha-awan gal-yaham wa hamawan la-amayam. So that's the Hebrew, Psalm chapter 65, verse 66. And again, we're saying, who established the mountains and hills by his strength, by his ability, by his force or power, being clothed with power. You who pacify the noise of the seas, the noise of the waves, and the rumbling of the peoples. Who else could we be talking about other than God, the creator of everything? Other than Yahweh, the one who deserves all of the praise. Okay. I hear a lot of fake Israelites out there saying all praises due to the Most High, but are they giving the Most High their due praises? Are they paying their tithes? You know what I'm saying? Are they locked into the culture? Are they following the dietary laws and the ceremonial laws? Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I know that in the ISUPK and the Commanding General Yohana, this is where we really trying to get this thing done the right way, because we see stuff like this, these scriptures, and we appreciate the Lord for it. And with that, this is the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969. We are under Commanding General Yohana. Again, we're here to teach the truth of the Bible for so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, that they are the real Israelites according to the scriptures. And with that, shalom.